All right, so here we are once again. Grant Cook in the house. And Grant, I tell you, after our last episode, I asked people to come up with some creative names for this segment, and there's just too many to pick from. I mean, I don't know if you had a chance to go through the comment section, but
a little
our
bit.
our viewers are very creative with the names. Can you think of any that popped off that you're kind of leaning towards?
Let Grant cook was a good one. There were too many.
Solid.
There were too many. We may
The
have to go
line
back
cook.
through.
That was a good
Yeah,
one. The
we may have
line
to go
cook
back
was
through
great.
it and pull some out, and then come up with one of them together here and
Okay.
go ahead and name the segment.
I say we'll come up with a top 3, and then we'll put it up in a poll, and
There
whatever
we go.
has the most votes, that's what we'll move forward with. All right. So, but here we are once again, Grant, and I would love to not call you and say, "Hey, I really need you this week to explain what's going on." But here we are once again. A few things popped up on tape, and during my breakdown, I honestly was hesitant on trying to give my opinion because I just didn't know. I was thinking maybe there's something I'm unaware of that would make our right tackle not block a guy blitzing on the edge. I don't know. And so here we are. Sent you a few plays to kind of go over. Would love to know your opinion. So where do we want to pick up at, man?
Yeah. So I think we pick up 7 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first, right? So halfway through the first quarter, 7-7 game. We obviously hit a big play on the first drive, 75-yard touchdown, huge momentum shift there. So we come back, get the ball back. They've scored. We talked about momentum after that Oklahoma State game and what that does for you in mid-game. I mean, going down and answering a score, it's demoralizing for the defense, right? So we're on our own side of our side of the 50, driving a little bit, and looks like we've got a pass play here. And so once again, 3rd and 6, right? We kind of talked about it after we put it on film against Oklahoma State, and then you saw Auburn do the same thing. UAB did a little bit, and Texas A&M has done it. They're walking people up, right, and making us make the right decision on who's coming and who's not coming. And until we prove, this is how football works, guys. This is how coaching works. This is how, when DJ and I watch film, anybody that watches film, when you put something on tape that can be exploited, it's going to continue to be exploited until you've determined on tape that you can stop it. Then someone's got to come up with something different, right? So what's worked right now for the defenses against us is let's walk everyone up, assume that everyone's a blitzer. We're going to drop some back. We're going to bring some, make them make the right call. So on this one, at the ball, before the ball snapped, you got 3 stand-up guys and 2 down defensive linemen, okay? So ball snapped, and we'll start with Carmona. So Carmona sets to take on this stand-up defensive end or outside linebacker. That guy immediately does not come, right? He does not declare himself as a rusher. Really like Carmona's set and his eyes. So as soon as he realizes this guy's not blitzing or this guy's not in the rush, bam, snaps his head and his body back inside. So what do we always talk about? We've talked about it the last couple of weeks. If something goes away, something's coming to you, right?
Yeah.
So you always know. But I'm looking at this guy. He drops. My eyes snap back to this side. I'm coming to take this block over. And what that does is it creates a chain reaction down the offensive line that your block is getting assumed. Now I can go and help the center. Now the center's block's getting assumed. He can go help the other guard. Now, where we get into a little bit of a pickle here, and it's a pretty good design blitz from Texas A&M. Carmona snaps in, takes over that defensive lineman coming around. The other defensive lineman kind of comes across the center's face, and they bring a linebacker behind him. So that eats up the guard, right? Well, you end up with the guard and the running back on the same man, just based off of timing. So now the center is taken up with a block. He cannot be knocked off that block, right? The guard can't go take that block over for him. So Josh Braun sets here. He's setting to the stand-up linebacker or stand-up defensive end. His guy drops, okay? So what does he do? He looks back inside. I don't hate that.
Okay.
I don't hate that because the guy drops, he looks back inside, and okay, now he sees the center on a guy. You got to have a little bit of awareness and look back outside. Like I said, I mean, I give Texas A&M some credit here. Really well designed blitz. You get to Blackstock, he's setting for that outside rush guy, and I'll tell you this, he did all he could do on this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got no help to the inside. He's out there on an island. He's got two guys. He gets a really good punch on that defensive end, and then tries to get a hand on the blitzer, but I mean, the blitzer had a really good track, and obviously goes and hits Talon pretty hard. I don't know if they ended up calling that a fumble or incomplete pass, but we've talked about it a little bit, DJ, and you can talk about it some here in just a sec. But if you don't know where the defenders are going before the ball is snapped at this level, then you're going to struggle really, really hard. They're on scholarship too, right? These guys are All-Americans, All-SEC, all these things too. And if you don't have the knowledge of where they're going before the ball snapped, you're just not going to have that much success rate against talent like this. And I mean, it's pretty evident there that we didn't know. And whether that was, Taylor not getting us into the right protection, or the offensive line busted assignment, or a running back should have picked up someone different, or whatever. We don't really know the ins and outs of it, but we've got to figure it out, right? We've got to know where these guys are going. We've got to start reading some of the safeties and some of the linebackers they're telling us. We just got to be able to read the signs.
Yeah. I think too, what you see on that play, a huge indicator for Talon that I got to get this ball out now. You can see him taking his time trying to get the ball to the outside, to the left side of the line of scrimmage, but a single high safety look. And as soon as you start at the snap, you have a pretty good idea of what's coming and what's not coming. And he just takes way too long holding this ball. And like you said, I know it seems like we were critiquing the offensive line on every single play. Sometimes the defense dials it up, and this is a great call from A&M. But the single high safety on a 3rd and 6, based off what's been going on during the game, Talon has to know my time clock's ticking right here. And to your point, Blackstock, as much as we get on to him on this one, I don't know what else you can do. And so this is where it takes these are picked up by committee and not just the offensive line. And so I would say the most dangerous man that Talon probably needs to be aware of is that guy over the number 3 receiver, which I believe is Isaac Tesla in that situation. If I were him, I would just keep an eye on that, because based off the scheme, he should know pre-snap if there is going to be trouble. The thing I have to worry about most is if it comes off this side. And so these are next level things when it comes to quarterback reading. And, at the snap, he locates safety, takes a quick peek. If that guy's not coming, okay, now I know I have a little bit more time from the protection from my offensive lineman. But he's not to that level where and it's a half second, Grant. That's how fast things happen on the football field. It's just a quick look at the safety, quick little glance. Okay, I'm good. I can focus on this route now. And that's where the complexity of this all kind of comes into place. And we were talking about this on the radio show here at the Buzz. Imagine giving Coach Petrino an extra year with Talon, because he has the tools and he has the ability. And now pair that with the knowledge. I mean, Lamar Jackson won the Heisman. Coach Petrino had him 3 years, And so all that athleticism paired with the knowledge to go with it. Now, I'm not saying Talon's going to win the Heisman, but I know we also want to win not now, but right now, so we got to pick up. Yeah, we got to pick it up.
Yeah. And to your point, I think, we talked about Talon's eyes a little bit, right? I mean, in that clip there, if he turns his head just to the right to see, hey, is this guy coming? Who knows what that does to that single high safety, right? Yeah. I mean, you can see that guy bail back, right? He's bailing to the middle of the field. So he's kind of got like a cover one, right? He's just pushing way back to the middle of the field playing safety, right? He's just going to sit back there and take anything, not let anything get behind him. And that one walked up backer pulls out, which takes that short stuff away so that guy can come. I think you can look at that safety and see, all right, he's shaded over this way. This guy's probably coming, right? He's assuming someone's responsibility. And we knew that as an offensive line in year 3-4 with Coach Petrino. It wasn't just on Mallet or Tyler or someone else to see it. we all 11 people knew, ooh, single high, hey, let's head on the swivel here. Something's coming. Something's up.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, it comes with just repetition. It comes with understanding the offense. It comes with those meetings where you're drilling this stuff, and it becomes second nature.
I also want to point out before you move on to, we understand it's not going to be a touchdown every single play. And in that situation, if Taylon kind of goes through a quick little glance and making sure he's good, it would be the difference between him understanding I can't get the ball out on this play. Let me at least tuck it, take the sack, maybe try to throw it away. But that could have been bad. He fumbled the ball on that play. Blackstock was there just to recover it. So that could have been a lot worse, So maybe these small little details don't necessarily make a big play, but they avoid a really bad play from happening. But go ahead.
So I was just going to jump ahead to the next play. Same series, 7-7, roughly 5 minutes left, down on the 8-yard line or so. And this is the handoff to Jaquindon Jackson. So I really like, I'll say 4 out of the 5 on this, right? If I'm the offensive line coach and I'm grading this, and we got a really cool shot of it back here, we kind of the end zone shot of this. So we'll start with Carmona. So this one actually is an outside zone, and it looks like we're trying to capture the edge, right? So Carmona's trying to go get the furthest defensive lineman's outside shoulder, capture it, collapse it in, and Jaquindon's going to take it around the edge. But what defensive linemen are taught is to fight pressure. So if I'm trying to go get this guy's outside shoulder, he's going to fight that pressure and string this play out, right? Here's where Jaquindon Jackson's really good. The guy's got unbelievable vision. He's got a lot more than just that, but he can see things, right?
Yeah.
So Carmona does a really good job here. He's out. He's he's bullying this guy. I'll just put it frank. He does a really, really good job here. I don't hate Andrew Chambly's block here. I don't love the aiming point that he has. He kind of hits that inside shoulder, but if we're trying to get to the outside, you want to string that out a little bit more. 63 here. I don't hate that. He's hat on a hat, covering up color. But if you see Jaquindon, he does a really, really good job of taking the handoff and kind of going downhill first and then flattening it out. What that does is it makes everyone have to come up, right? So then you can get assumed by the blockers. They can't just continue to string it out. And then he does what he does best is gets out on the edge and then hits the pylon for 7 or 6 rather. But I don't hate this play. I think it's a pretty good run play. The only thing that I would maybe comment on is some of the aiming points. If we're trying to capture the outside shoulder, let's get there, right? Starts with your feet and starts with your eyes.
So it's crazy. I was reviewing this play, and I talked about Braun on this one, and I said Jaquindon is so good, and I think he kind of looks for the cutback and getting up inside the line of scrimmage. And I feel like, and I could be wrong, that the offensive line maybe know that about him. I feel like O-linemen know their backs and know what their tendencies are. And so when I look at Carmona right here, and that's very tough reach block, very tough reach block. How frustrating is it sometimes? Because if you play that and slow it down, he got away with a hold right there. And I think Carmona's so used to maybe Jaquindon saying, I know what he likes. How frustrating is it as an offensive lineman sometimes when you got a guy on a track and you feel like you got that block and then the back does something different and now your guy goes outside and you get busted with a holding call?
Yeah, it's, offensive line's generally the only position that's playing with their back to the ball.
Yep.
So everything that we see or we do is by feel, right? What's our guy doing? That dictates what's happening behind us, where the ball is. And so you've got to learn that. And I think, to that point, that's a really, really wide reach block.
Hard block. So, that's a very hard block.
Yeah, and so you have to understand, probably as a back and as an offensive lineman, at some point you got to let that one go, right? When he turns like this and luckily, whether it was his hands inside or the ref didn't see it, the umpire didn't see it, so be it. We'll take it. those are the little moments of joy, right? That we
Yeah.
get
Hey.
as
Yep.
an offensive lineman.
That's when you
Uh,
kind of look around, look for that yellow. Oh, now we good.
oh
We
yeah,
good. Let's go.
and the defensive lineman screaming, right? Hold me, why are you holding? Why are you holding?
Oh yeah.
So you can talk if you want to. Usually I was so tired I was just trying to breathe, man. I didn't have time to talk crap. I just decided I'm gonna breathe and
No.
try to get back in this huddle.
Hey, just
Um,
just a quick note for everybody out there, and I know a lot of people who like football know this. There's holding on every
yeah,
play, every
yeah,
single play.
every single play somewhere, defensive or offensive, every play.
Somebody's holding every time.
Yeah, for sure. All right, jumping ahead. So second quarter, 8 minutes and 46 seconds left. 14-14 tie ball game. We are on the 25-yard line coming out. This is one of those things where I feel like we're just not quite there yet from a football intelligence or an assignment and understanding of what we're supposed to be doing, right? So we've got the right side of the offensive line here. Blackstock looks like the down lineman's maybe like in a 4-eye or a wide 3 technique.
Mm-hmm.
For me, not knowing the play call, not knowing the assignment, just based off what I'm seeing, it seems like there's a slide protection to the right side. Okay, we went over slide protection last week. You threw up a great graphic with the blocks that are coming out, right? So if I'm a tackle and the slide protection is to me, I have anything that's coming from the outside, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a safety, a cornerback, a defensive lineman that loops around, whatever. My assignment is anything on the outside. That inside gap belongs to the guard, right? So I can have my hand in here trying to help out, feel around, make sure that he's not getting bull rushed or something like that. But if you snap or if you start the film up, snap of the ball, Blackstock's eyes are inside. I mean, he is taking on the defensive end. I'll say defensive end, the person on his inside shoulder, or maybe Braun's, outside shoulder, but a really wide 3 technique. And you got number 9 that is clearly involved somehow, right? Now they're a little bit late getting set up on their defense. Mm-hmm. So if number 8 was over there earlier and he's over Armstrong, in my mind as an offensive lineman, that guy's coming, right? Yeah. They're not going to have 2 defensive backs over one guy at the line of scrimmage. That makes zero sense.
You might as well put up a big sign saying, "Hey, I'm coming. Get
Correct.
ready." Yeah.
Correct. And so if you look at it, he sets down, and it looks like, and the reason I think it's a slide protection is I'm looking at Addison Nichols here. So where his eyes go, he's got a head up center or a head up nose on him. He assumes that Josh Braun's also kind of looking in there like that. So to me, once again, not knowing the play call, not knowing what the assignments truly are, it looks like a slide pro that Blackstock should be out there on, right? He should have that assignment on number 9 who comes scot-free. Now, I'll say this. If that's the case and we have a slide pro, they dial up another pretty cool blitz here where they delay that Mike linebacker coming in, waiting for those blocks to be assigned, right? And then bring in one late. Now, he may have been a spy, realized it was a pass, and if that was the case, that his assignment is to blitz after he decides that we're passing the ball. But Taylor does a really good job here of widening it out and obviously not taking a sack, but getting rid of the ball after scrambling for a little bit. But these are the things, and we don't have a full clip of down the field of anyone being open or not, but it just seems like we've got to know these things, and when we start doing when we start understanding this and start picking these blitzes up, and crazy things are going to happen.
Yeah,
I mean,
changes everything.
This offense is designed to score points, and their opportunity is there to do it. But it's the mental mistakes, man. I mean, number 9, he kind of comes off like, I'm probably going to get blocked here, and he comes free. It may have been to Taylor's benefit. luckily, he's looking at him a little bit here and avoids that. Thank goodness, because that was going to be another big hit. But another thing, we have a little bit of a tighter shot of the blitz here. You can see by Braun's set, he sets out to, I think, number 4 is a down lineman. He sets out to him and is kind of knocked off the block by Blackstock, and peeks out there. He sees the blitzer and can't do anything because he's trying to block number 4 that Blackstock has passed off to him. So, I think, once again, if you don't know where the people are going before the ball is snapped, it's incredibly hard to be right. These guys are way too athletic. Everybody in this league is way too athletic to recover against. You're not going to recover against guys like this.
Grant, you're better than me. I give you that. And people should know this about Grant Cook. Dude's top-notch character guy. Calls it how he sees it, but he comes with some grace. I'm looking at this play, and the more and more I watch it, I'm just like, what the hell are you doing? Like, because, Grant, like you said, we don't know the play call. We don't know this, but we also know, hey, be a football player. And given the circumstances, and this one is just really hard for me to wrap my mind around. I mean, I think this is one, you remember these days, where Coach Petrino would come to you to the sideline and ask you, what were you thinking? And he's not going to leave until you give him an answer. I just feel on that one, Grant, just based off what everyone else was doing, would you say, yes, it'd be nice to know this, but there's also a degree of being an athlete, just see it, adjust, be a football player. I mean, it's shown up too much on tape now, in my opinion, because I think there's a clip a little bit later on, almost the same exact thing of what's going on out there on that side.
I agree. And, to talk to the inverse of that, if you look at Carmona, once again, really great sets out to the guy that's on the line of scrimmage. You got to give him his respect, right? I mean, you got to assume he takes a vertical set, like we talked about the last couple weeks, to buy himself some time to make that person declare as a rusher. Guy bails into coverage. What does he do? Snaps back in, takes over the block from Chamblee, and Chamblee's ready for this blitzer, right? He's ready for this Mike linebacker to come downhill and tail and flushes, so he doesn't necessarily hit the gap that he was, gonna rush through. But yeah, I mean, I think, it's got to get better, right? I mean, and at this point, we've put it on tape, and there's been a lot of things that that kind of have you scratching your head a little bit. And what, at what point are the assignments going to be corrected, right? Getting beat is one thing. Like just getting beat, right? I got beat plenty in my career. I'm sure everybody that's going to watch this is going to go, yeah, remember number 72? Yeah, I used to get beat a lot, right? Not Frank Ragnow. Before Frank Ragnow wore 72, I did. And that's going to happen, man. Those guys are on scholarship. I said it earlier. They're on scholarship too, right? I remember when Marcel Darius literally picked me up off my feet. And I was like, okay.
LSU linebacker tossed me 6 yards the opposite direction. Yeah, it happens. It comes,
It's going to happen, right? But I think the harder part is not knowing what you're supposed to be doing, right? And on this one, once again, I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt. Maybe the play call determined that he was supposed to block that person. I don't know, but it feels like that was not the case. And so we've got to get there mentally and understand the game, understand the assignment, and make it happen, right? And by the way, I think what Coach Petrino would have said to me on the sideline was, "Are you trying to lose the game?" There's one word I left out of that sentence, and I will let don't comment what you think the word was, but everybody use your imagination.
We can't say that yet. I still work with a news station and a radio station, so I can't say that stuff yet. But if 4th and 5 ever becomes self-sustainable, We can throw that word in there if you really want it. All right. So
Yeah, so
please
everybody use their
subscribe
imagination.
and support.
And I would be sitting there getting a drink of water, and I would just see him come and rip his headphones off, and he would ask me if I was trying to lose the game.
Yeah. All right. And while they're also commenting, I'm going to go ahead and say it now because it's already going to happen, Grant. So get ready for it. 76. It's not Chambly. It's Marion Harris from Joe T. Robinson.
I said Andrew Chambly. My bad. Marion Harris.
Because by the time they get up to this point in the video, there's probably going to be 50 comments trying to correct that. So there you go. It's addressed.
On me, everybody. Yeah, we'll get it corrected next time. So Marion Harris, my bad, Marion. Played a pretty good game this game. So there you go. Yeah. There's your flowers.
A lot of people, Grant, were saying, why is Petrino getting away from the run game? And that's surprising for me to hear because we knew how much he was when it comes to being a balanced offense. Taylor throwing the ball 40-plus times in a game, or that's too much. Do you think it's a little bit of the case where he was trying to do it, but A&M just had our number, and he didn't want to just keep beating a dead horse?
So I think, and not going back and watching the full game, looking at some of these clips, and also watching the game live, it seemed like the game plan for A&M was we're going to load the box. 22 and 10 are not going to run it to beat us, right? Yeah. If you beat us by throwing it, then kudos to you, right? Kudos to you. You beat us throwing it, but we're going to dare you to throw it because we have been a dangerous running team. We've been a very dangerous running team, and I think that's also been put on film, right? What hasn't been put on film is our ability to pick up a pass rush or a blitz, and Talon's true ability to drive the ball down the field accurately. And so, I don't want to say one-dimensional, right? Because I don't know that we're one-dimensional per se, but at the end of the day, the defense is going to say, I'm going to take away the thing that you think you do well, right, which is run the ball for Arkansas. That's our identity right now. So I'm going to load the box. I'm going to make you throw me out of it, right, until you prove to me that you can throw the ball down the field and you're burning me over the middle and over the top, that I have to bring this safety back up or I have to bring, a nickel in and pull one of my linebackers out, then why do it, right? And it felt like that's what Mike Elko's plan was is I'm going to load the box. I'm going to take the runaway, and I'm going to make them throw me out of this defense. And unfortunately, we didn't do that. And for multiple reasons, right? We had some drops, and mostly it's second and third down and longs where they're walking up these linebackers, these safeties on the line of scrimmage, and we're not picking the right door. So.
And a big degree, too, of Coach Petrino is dialing up the perfect plays to get the ball out quick. Talon's just, one, not trusting it, two, not understanding it, and just he's missing a lot of guys that are open. And they're all open, Grant. They're everywhere. And,
right.
He has to let go of this tendency on locking on to one guy, and as soon as that one guy's no longer an option, he just runs. If he can get to at least the second guy in the progression, changes everything, too. So, and it's so hard that it is what it is. This is an SEC ball, and I love Talon's personality. I think he's great, but he has to hop on this learning curve right now if we want to continue to be a competitive football team this year, because it doesn't get any easier, from this point on. It turns up a notch.
Yeah, this weekend's going to be real. Just straight up. Like, Texas A&M's defensive line is really, really good. Tennessee's got a guy that's probably going to be a top 5 pick at defensive end. And he's very good. And he's one of 8. And he does not play the entire game. That's how good they are. They have 8 of them that can go. So I do want to jump ahead a little bit to the next play. Let's see. I don't have a down and distance and that to give you, but we've got another pass play called here. And so I'll say this. A lot of people called out the right side of the offensive line here. They do get beat, but here's what I don't hate. They don't give up on the block, right? Okay. They don't give up on the block. They're on their hips running them by. Here's what I've got an exception with. clearly a slide protection to the left side of the offensive line. If you look at Addison Nichols, he's got this guy, Marion Harris, everybody, is got his hand on that block, but what does he do? He lets his eyes turn his body. When you let your eyes turn your body, man, it's not going to be good, because now he cannot help that tackle. And Carmona, expect an inside help, sets deep, which he should do. The guy has takes an underneath path to the quarterback. That's a Marion's job. He's got to have his tackles back, and he doesn't. He has his eyes inside, looking at this block that 63's on. So what's happened here is the right side of the offensive line has done a really, really good job running their guys past. Talon, doing what he hasn't done much this year, is trying to step up in the pocket and still keep his eyes downfield. But because Marion did not have his eyes in the right place and blew assignment here, essentially protecting his gap, now you got an inside rush. We got nowhere to go. Everything's bottled up. And then inevitably one of those guys kind of makes it around the corner there and grabs Talon by the ankle and gets him down for a sack. If everybody does what they're supposed to do, right, you can get beat, stay on your block, but if everybody does what they're supposed to do, you still have a chance to be successful. And right here, that inside pass rush that Carmona thought he had help on, it caused the play to get blown up in the backfield. And it's tough to see because, like I said, people get beat, but they didn't give up on the block, and I like that. I really do like the effort that they gave there. But it inevitably still ended up in a sack. So
yeah. I mean, I think what we've seen is, pretty a consistent theme with what we have going on. Still all fixable, all manageable things. And, Grant, we'll just call it right there. I mean, I think that's a pretty good grasp of what we got going on up front. Always a great job explaining it. And now it's just, what's next? Tennessee, like we said, right now they've given up, on average, 51 yards a game rushing. Total defense, only 176 yards given up per game. They're the top defense in the country. A lot of people kind of sleeping on that because of their offense is so high-powered, putting up a lot of points. But if you were coach this week, an emphasis offensive line coach, that is, what's the one biggest thing you want to make sure all your guys know before each snap playing against a team like this?
Honestly, it's hard to say, and I think it's, for me, probably having a better understanding of the offense than some of these guys do because I ran it for longer. Obviously, there's been some changes and stuff, but I think the biggest thing that we've got to really start to instill is know where the guy in front of you is going before the ball is snapped. That is going to be the biggest thing, because I think these guys are athletes. I think the 5 guys that we have on the offensive line have a chance to be really good, right? But they've got to understand the game at a higher level. And I think that's what Coach Petrino brought to us is, we talked about it maybe that first week, which is what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it, but also why you do it that way. It was that FBI, that football intelligence, that I think really drove our success, because whatever defenses would do, the Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, Alabama defenses, when they were on the staff, when Kirby was on the Nick Saban staff, some of the best athletes that were in college football, along with some of the most complex defensive schemes, yet we still knew what was going to happen, right? They tried to disguise it, and they tried to pull some NFL type stuff and really not show what these safeties were going to do till really, really late in the snap count or post snap. But we still had a good idea of what was going to happen, and it allowed us to be successful. You have to understand where the guys are going before the ball snapped. Everyone in this league is too good. I don't know how many times I've said that in this podcast, but it's pertinent. I mean, it's paramount that we know where they're going. And I know in that building over there, they're working like dogs trying to get everybody on the same page and to understand these things. And it takes time, and I know no one wants to hear that, right? We want to win right here, right now, in this era. And you listen to the radio, well, man, all we need is $25 million, and we'll go buy all these players, and we'll be the best. they still got to perform, right? I mean,
Right.
at the end of the day, like you can go get every best player in the country, but if you can't get on the same page on offense, if you can't get on the same page on defense, it doesn't matter how much you're paying a kid to come to school here. And so, at the end of the day, I think that's the biggest thing. So.
Hey, Grant, hey, stick around for a second. I'm just going to go ahead and finish up the show with you. I know Josh, usually a part of this episode, he's just got a lot on his plate. He's been traveling. He just got engaged. They're playing in an engagement party. They got all that going on. So stay with me real quick. But I want to hop into our injury report with Kurt Reynolds over there at Ortho Arkansas. All right, we are back once again with our injury report. Dr. Kurt, first of all, tough time down in A&M.
Yeah.
But before we talk about all that, let's get into one thing that has popped up now that is starting to now annoy me. Why is Luke Has not on the injury report? Since Oklahoma State continued to show obvious signs that he has back issues,
Right.
I'm trying to figure out why is he on the field in the first place?
Yeah, I wish I had that answer. I mean, it's 3 games in a row that on multiple plays he's going down, he's coming up, grabbing, reaching for that right side of his back, and taking himself out of the game. So he's obviously hurting. I mean, there's no competitive Division I football player who's going to take themselves out of the game unless they're really hurting.
Especially him.
I mean, he's a competitive guy. He's obviously coming out there playing through some pain. Yeah, I'm like you. I've got to think at some point they're going to have to put him on the injury report.
Mm-hmm.
That's a new thing that the SEC has mandated, that there's a injury report each week, and so it's supposed to be updated on Thursday, to my recollection. So maybe when it comes out this Thursday, he's going to be on there. Yeah, it may be that since he's not missing practice, he's not missing any time, that they don't consider him injured. That he's hurt but not injured, and so that's why they're not putting him on the true injury report. But I mean, he's obviously banged up. He's obviously not playing at the level that he wants to play at. But all of our tight ends seem to be beat up.
Yeah, well, staying on Luke, just talk about what it seems to be looking. And you can tell when he runs high. He seems stiff.
Right.
Talk about that type of pain he may be dealing with, which is probably a reason it's slowing him down.
It is. So when I see him run, I mean, it certainly seems to be more muscular. I mean, he seems to really have almost a back spasm, which it's going to make you stand straight up. You want to tighten your abs up. You don't want to take a deep breath, because as you relax, as you let your spine kind of sag down, those muscles start to spasm. It hurts. Sometimes it goes into your butt, runs down the back of your leg if the nerve is injured. So kind of like our mom always told us, sit up straight. Well, part of that posture is you guard and you splint yourself, and so it doesn't hurt as badly. And so when I see him run, when he seems tight, he seems like he's really trying to fire his core muscles, keep his abs really tight to keep that back really stable, which makes me think it's more of a muscle injury, because he's not showing any signs that his leg is weak or anything that we would think a nerve is getting compressed. But obviously something's going on there that is just nagging him. Yeah, and like you said, tight end room banged up. Ty Washington a little banged up. The other backup that's been out for a few weeks with the concussion banged up. Hopefully we have him back. But let's get to the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. Tennessee, they can throw that thing. They can put up points. Let's just say that. Yeah. So you're going to need to be as strong as you can on the defensive backfield. We saw that Hudson Clark dressed. They still didn't feel confident about him coming back and playing. But another guy that continues to pop up that they say is a no-go, supposedly our top DB, and Jalen Braxton, tendonitis, bone bruise. Correct. Last week they said it was a bone bruise. We sort of thought maybe it was a heel bruise, a stone bruise. Now they're saying tendonitis. They don't tell us where. So certainly that could be in the knee, could be in the foot. I tend to think it's more Achilles tendonitis and a bruise in that heel bone, what we call a calcaneus. That's going to really slow down a D-back. Most guys can come back for some, patella tendonitis, some quadriceps tendonitis. Those don't typically have bone bruises associated with them unless it was a collision. Someone bangs a knee against a knee. We obviously see that more in baskbasketball than we do football, because they got knee pads on. Well, they wear their pads way up. Yeah, they do. Now they wear their pads, where they basically have shorts on. Yeah. But, we're seeing McCaffrey still out with Achilles tendonitis. So that's has me concerned that's what he's dealing with, is something that's more the Achilles tendon and that calcaneus, or that heel bone that is staying irritated. And that's really going to slow him down, being able to, backpedal, plant, change direction quickly, be able to jump. It's going to limit him. As much as your stuff about orthopedics, you're just about as good of a Razorback fan as they're out there. I know you were stressed. You were texting me during the game. Yeah. Oh, man. Where you at right now? I look back. you go back this year, going back to the Citrus Bowl, and Tennessee blanked Iowa 35-0. Since then, they have just racked up points. Their closest game was OU, and they won at OU.
Yep.
They've got a dynamic offense. They're putting up some huge points. We're banged up. I think we're still just not there yet. So, unfortunately, I think this one is going to be 42-17 Vols, as much as I hate to say that.
There's a couple teams here in the state that have some very tough matchups as well on the high school level. And Arkansas may be dealing with a couple more players dealing with some injuries after a very physical defensive front that Tennessee has. For the kids here in the natural state, they wake up Saturday morning like, ooh, I don't know about that one. How can you take care of them?
Drop by Ortho Arkansas at our office at Fair Park and 630, our Midtown location. We have our Saturday morning sports injury clinic that is from 9 to 11. Be seen by an orthopedic surgeon that's fellowship trained in sports medicine. During the week, if it's after hours, after practice, our urgent care is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at both Little Rock and North Little Rock locations. And that's Monday through Friday, no appointment needed. And then on Saturdays from 8 to noon. So you're banged up. If mom and dad are banged up in the backyard from throwing routes, we can see them as well. But we're here to help take care of our athletes in Arkansas.
Wait a minute, it just not hit me what you said earlier. What did you say the score was?
42-17.
The line is opened up at 13.5.
Really?
You taking that?
I might take that.
All right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
No problem, man.
Yep. All right. Always appreciate Kurt Reynolds and everything they got going on at Ortho Arkansas. But Grant, as I asked you to stick around, just real quick, what needs to happen in this game? Now, Arkansas is a plus 13.5 underdog. If they win, hallelujah. It'd be very tough. I'm not saying I think they are going to win. Now, yes, anything's possible. But even if they don't, what would you like to see coming out of this game? I'll tell you mine first. I felt last year in games like this, situations like this, where we were kind of on the fence of like, are we going to hold on to that rope or are we just going to crumble and fall apart? I think our team captains started not buying in anymore, and then everything just went downhill and there was no return from it.
Right.
I don't believe that's the same case with this team. And as much as we talk about our offensive struggles and stuff, I apologize every single time because I just need to do a show dedicated to the defense and what they've done. It's been unbelievable what they've done on that defensive side of the ball. So we still have elements to this program that are doing it the right way. So what do you want to see come out of this game, win or lose?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's effort, right? So I want to make sure the effort's still there. It's really easy to give in and say, well, just not our year, or man, this is tough, or whatever it may be. I want to see them still have that determination to go win because, truthfully, we've lost one SEC game. Everything's out there in front of us still, right? Now, not saying that the mountain's not a tall mountain to climb. There's some really, really good teams left out there, but we watched a Kentucky team that no one thought was going to be very good go beat an Ole Miss team that we thought was probably going to be a top 5 team in the country, for sure. A college football playoff team in the expanded playoff.
And the week before, almost beat Georgia.
Yeah, and almost beat Georgia. And you go see a Vanderbilt team that probably should have beat Missouri, who's the top 6-7 team. So why not us, right? Let's get these things fixed, right? Let's have attention to detail, play with the maximum effort that you can play with. The ball, like Coach Nutt used to say, it's a funny shape. It bounces weird ways, right? So why not let us why not continue to fight and go get everything that's still out there in front of you to be successful? I think that's what I want to see. I don't want to see anybody's head down and coming out flat and all those things. Come out with a little bit of intensity, a little bit of toughness, and make it happen.
Okay. I would love it, Grant. Always appreciate the time. And as we kind of wrap this up, just want to remind people that all the support, the comments, it's been so much appreciated. Grant, you've been a highlight. Always appreciate your time. And it seems to be now that our viewers really love some Grant Cook. We'll figure out the top 3 names to name his segment and move forward with that. Now, along with that, an opportunity for small businesses, big businesses, it doesn't matter, to get your Grant Cook segment sponsored. All right. So and it can be week to week. You can do it for the rest of the year. We'll make you a nice little graphic, make you a little intro, and make sure that every time Grant Cook is on the screen, he's representing you. And people always ask, what's the point of that? Man, I really want this thing to grow, man. Grant, I believe in it. I love sitting here talking about this with you, with Josh, and just being a part of this community, which we call our Razorback family. And so that would really help that aspect of it. And, I'm looking at the setup right now. I got my nice little fancy camera. I'd love to send you some stuff to make sure your shot looks good. You know what I mean? Maybe your sponsor can have their stuff in the background. We'll get it all right. All right. But what I've started to realize, Grant, I think we are starting to get an idea of what our viewers want, and it's getting right to the point and explaining the game in a way maybe that they haven't had it explained before, and being honest. I mean, as much as it hurts us to talk bad about this program, and I admit it's tough for me, Grant, being very critical and then going on the sideline, because I still want these dudes to do well, but I know they watch the show. I've already had some people say, I hate that DJ dude, but it is what it is, man. So very passionate about this, and we want to continue to keep it going. We're always going to be honest. We're always going to be true, and there's no doubt about that. And like I said, Grant has a job. He has his kid, too. It'd be nice to put some money in his pocket for spending time with us each and every week as well. Trying to take care of you, Grant, all right? Trying to take care of you.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that.
All right, everybody, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button, and we'll see you in your post game at Tennessee. Have a good one.